But let's see now if we've got Richard Tice, hopefully down the line. We do. Richard, congratulations for becoming the Reform MP for Boston and Skegness. You must be delighted.
Thank you very much. Yes, I am, and very honoured indeed. It was quite a thing to overturn the biggest ever Tory majority in a general election of 25,500 votes. So, yeah, I've got a great responsibility, which I'm looking forward to, getting stuck in, already starting on the first casework. Great stuff.
Overall, with the result, I mean, obviously, we were talking earlier on the panel about Reform having come second in many more seats than I think anyone would have anticipated. Overall, a 14% vote share. Were you happy with that, Richard, or would you have liked that to have been higher? 4 million people voting for you. I asked because Nigel Farage had said earlier in the week, I think in his interview to Christopher Hope, that he hoped that 6 million people would vote for Reform.
Well, yes, obviously turnout across the board was lower, down at 60%, some over 10% lower, and that's a great shame, but a reflection, frankly, of people's lack of trust in politics. Of course, we're ambitious, we're greedy for more votes, but the fact that 4.1 million people did vote for us on that 60% turnout, I think was a real shock to the establishment, despite everything, the lies, the spin, the mud, the abuse that was thrown at us in the last 10 days or so of the campaign. And this is just the beginning, as Nigel said. It's a bridgehead, 5 MPs now, with James McMurdoch joining us on Friday afternoon after, I think, the third counting of his votes. So look, it's a great start, and we build from here. And I think genuinely we do become the real opposition. The Tory party is completely split asunder. They're sort of so far apart from each other. It's not a cohesive force, whereas we clearly are. And we've got the policies that I think actually will save this country, whether it's on immigration, whether it's on growth, whether it's on law and order. I don't think anybody's really got any confidence in the Labour Party's ability to solve those issues. And I think the key extraordinary statistic is that Keir Starmer got 600,000 fewer votes at this election than Corbyn got in 2019, and yet he's got this huge majority, which proves the absurdity of our ridiculous first-past-the-post system. Under some form of PR, we'd have over 90 seats, Camilla. That would be proper representative democracy, and that is the big debating point that we should be talking about.
But you'll probably have to campaign with the Greens and the Liberal Democrats on that, won't you? I mean, I don't know whether the Liberal Democrats are still advocates of proportional representation, because they've done very well out of their fewer votes for 71 seats than Reform. But the Greens, of course, they had a 4% lift in their vote share, and that would put them on about 40-odd seats. But you're not natural bedfellows with the Yellows or the Greens, are you really? So, I mean, can you see any cross-party collaboration on that campaign?
I think on this issue, actually, we can be working together. There's a cross-party campaign group called Make Votes Matter, which has been working very hard on this. I think you were talking earlier. A large chunk of the Labour Party actually wants PR. That's what most Western democracies have, and there's a reason for that, because it's the fair, proper system to have. Every vote is equal. It really saddens me when people say, I'm not going to vote for you, it's a wasted vote, or I'm not going to vote at all. You know, this is really important. People have got to believe in democracy and believe that their vote counts. So that's why it's the right solution. There's a variety of forms on it, but that now is the big debating point. And our incredible achievement at this election has highlighted the real flaws in this system. But we may be 5 in number in the House of Commons, but I think it's fair to say we might be a great deal noisier than those 5, I don't doubt that you'll be rest assured.
I don't doubt that you'll be noisy. Do you feel any sort of regret that because of Reform, strong Brexiteers and indeed quite right-wing Tories did get unseated? I'm thinking about Jacob Rees-Mogg, who I know you know personally because you've obviously worked on GB News with him, but also somebody like Andrea Jenkins. I mean, she was putting Nigel Farage on her leaflets and not Rishi Sunak.
And myself.
And because of Reform, they've been knocked out and they've been replaced by Labour MPs.
Well, look, I mean, our progress and success has been self-evident for the last 6 months. They all had the chance to join us, to defect to us, like Lee Anderson did. They decided to stay in the existing Conservative tent. And in a sense, there are consequences to people's decisions. They made that decision, and in a sense, they paid the price. That's what competition is all about.
Yeah.
I mean, we came second in almost 100 seats across the United Kingdom. we're now the dominant opposition in the north of England to the Labour Party. So we've made huge progress. And I come back, competition is a fundamentally conservative principle. They should believe in it.
OK. How is reform going to professionalise the operation? This was something, again, that Nigel talked about last week. I mean, you say that there was lots of mud slung at you, and that may be a fair point. But you also did have a problem with quite a few candidates. You have to accept that, Richard, surely.
Yeah, look, some people said inappropriate things. And look, we're a fast-growing political startup. And let's remember, Microsoft was starting in a garage. So you professionalise all the way through, you continuously improve. And where we make mistakes, we don't shy away from it. We recognise it, we learn from it, we deal with it, and we move on. And frankly, that approach voters like, where you're honest about things that are working and honest about things where you've got to improve. And that's who we are. That's our very business-like approach. So yes, we will continue to improve and professionalise. We're absolutely committed to that. It's a real thing. Every party has their problems with candidates. I mean, look at the Green Party. They had to, in a sense, they had to withdraw support from many more candidates than we did. Got no coverage in the press whatsoever because it's the lovely Greens. Look, we face into that.
Well, it did get coverage in the Telegraph, to be fair, Richard. Will you sort of think about an alliance? I know about the talk about the bridgehead. Will you think about an alliance with the Tories? I mean, just in terms of that vote share, for instance, if you add up the Conservatives and the Reform votes in numbers, you get more than Labour. So there may be an argument to say that you are better together, pardon the expression.
Goodness me, I think we must pardon that expression. Wash him out there.
It's associated with Reform, with Remain is why I say that. But you could have a strength in numbers argument on the right.
The point is that actually we took a lot of votes from the Labour Party as well. And actually, I think it's the Labour Party that is also looking over their shoulder at the growth of reform in some of their key industrial heartlands. So, we've got to keep pushing forward with our common sense policies. And I'll just say, competition's a good thing. And I just think that we've got huge momentum and we will keep growing and people are welcome to join us.
And what about you individually, Richard? I mean, you've obviously had a very successful business career. We hear from Rupert Lowe, who is similarly, got a similarly large bank account, that he is going to forfeit his salary. He's the newly elected Reform MP for Great Yarmouth and give it to charity. Will you be similarly generous?
Well, I've been generous throughout my life, Camilla, and
I know.
I've been generous to politics in essentially launching the Reform brand and growing it. Look, we've got to look at all these things for sure, get into the technicalities of, all of this stuff.
Do you think you're going to take your MP salary at this stage?
Look, frankly, I haven't really given any thought of it. It's such a binary thing, being whether you're elected or not. So look, we'll look at all of that over the coming days and weeks. But for me, the focus is now actually working out how the House of Commons works, but also starting to meet council leaders. I've already been in contact with them, teeing up meetings with that. There's a huge amount to do in the constituency, which has been badly let down after decades of failure by the Conservative MPs there. So there's a huge amount to do.
Yeah, what will you do as far as Boston? Will you get another home there and spend half your time there, half down in London? What's your plan for that?
Literally, I'm property hunting as of tomorrow. And I'm viewing some on next week. So we're not mucking about. We're not wasting any time at all, Camilla.
All right, hitting the ground running, Richard Tice. Thank you very much indeed for your time this morning, not least after what I know has been a pretty hectic 6 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.